One of my favorite stories about Preston is before I even worked here. Preston and I used to ride motorcycles together. And at the time, Preston had a full cast on his right leg and could not bend his right leg. And he decided with all his ingenuity that he was still going to ride his motorcycle, so he put a prop on the front fork of his motorcycle, and he would ride around with his right leg totally facing the front of the motorcycle. And we're in an old neighborhood at one point, and my mom was bringing my younger brother and sister home from school, and she pulled it behind us at a traffic light, and she said, "Oh my God, what is that man doing?" And she pretty much talked about that story almost till the day she died. I guess my favorite Prestonism is that constantly, whenever he talks or tries to explain something, he's always using his hands, whether he does, and that's one of my favorite things about Preston, the way he communicates with the crew and everything. I guess my first memory of Preston is Preston's pretty much a very competitive guy, and I just gotten a brand new to me used motorcycle, and he had his brand new Yamaha, and he was just so confident, and he would just tease me until finally wanted to see which motorcycle was faster, and I guess we had to figure out which motorcycle was faster, and I'll leave the rest of that story up to Preston. Preston's impacted my career from early on when I first started working here. Of course, he recruited me here. And oftentimes I worked with Preston, and as I said earlier, he was just so competitive. Each day he would try to bring more and more trees to the job site. And at the time, Columbia was a brand new city, and Chapel Valley did a lot of work in Columbia. And each day he would put more and more trees on the truck, even to the point where they would send a second truck, and eventually they gave Preston a larger truck. And we would go out with 45 or 50 2.5-inch trees and just plant all those trees by hand. And it's sort of neat because I can go back there now through those old neighborhoods and see some of those trees are now 40 years old, and it's just a good memory from our young days together working here at Chapel Valley.
Well, my favorite story about Preston is not at work, but his ability as a young man to do some crazy things. So he was telling me the story how he drove his motorcycle to Florida, and on his way back, and it was a cold time of the year, he drove straight through from Florida to here. But on the way, one morning on his way back at 3 o'clock in the morning, he ran out of gas, or was trying. So he spent, since there were no gas stations, so he would go from gas station to a gas station, draining the hoses and getting enough to get back here. My first memory of Preston was back in 1969, I believe, when he was in high school. He was in a work-study program where he worked half a day and went to school half a day, and he came out here and applied for a job. And at that point, we had very little of anything out here. We had a little planting of plants and a little nursery. Well, Preston has been a positive influence on the company since he was here in 1969 and 70. He's always been passionate about doing a good job. He always cares for the employees, fellow employees. He cares for the clients, and really it is important to him that we do a good job. The other thing is he really cares for people in general. Outside of working here, he's very active in his church. He's got a wonderful wife, Sue, who's been his partner since they were married, and they have 4 wonderful children.
Favorite story on Preston would be one of the first days I was working, we went and dug a carpinus from Manor View Farms field. It was about a 10 to 12 inch. And I was just amazed at the whole process. First time I've ever been exposed and doing something like that. We dug it the first day, then craned it onto a tractor trailer, delivered the next day, and planted in a residential property, the front yard, the next day. And it was a really neat operation. First memory was my first day at work. They told me I was on Preston's crew. I found the crew, and they told me that Preston was all for the week racing Jeeps. And I thought, this guy's got to be a wild man, and it turned out he really was, in a good way. Hey Preston, congratulations on your retirement. Well worth it. Enjoy your time with your family and your motorcycles and your church. It's been a great pleasure working with you, and an honor.
When I first came here, Preston gave me an opportunity. I was out of the mechanical field for a few years, and he gave me an interview, came here, and he gave me the job. And I just want to thank him for that. Thank him one more time for giving me this opportunity, and good luck to you. And I guess my favorite thing I've always heard you say is when you tell the stories about your motorcycles. Never found that one in the dictionary, but have a good time. Thanks.
Preston, I just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done for me and everything you've taught me. You've taught me a lot over the years. I really appreciate it. I want you to enjoy your retirement, enjoy your life, and I want you to enjoy your grandkids. So, thank you for everything.